So welcome everybody. This is 16th of November 2022, Delivery System Sync and Demo. Thank you everybody for joining. We have few discussion points, nothing to demo today, but I guess very important discussion point actually to review. Ahmad, do you want to start to verbalize yours?
Yeah. Quick update about the cluster construction. Today we merged the runbook finally, so it's all good. I think one thing that comes next is I also created a fourth cluster yesterday to prove that we can do it in one MR using Terraform, that we can create the cluster and the DNS and everything just works. So everything is fine. I think what comes next is to actually test the runbook, rebuilding a different Kubernetes cluster. And that, I think, taking in mind that we are almost at the release management shift and starting another one. So I'm not entirely sure actually if we can achieve this soonish to rebuild another cluster. And I think this somehow collides with the point that Michele added, that we can drop the cluster rebuild OKR entirely. I'm not sure. So
okay, maybe then let's add whatever you need to add. Maybe we can revisit back your point after we discuss point C.
sure.
Maybe.
So just another thing is, destroying and creating cluster automatically using Terraform locally got some comments and some discussion items on the issue. But still, this also, I'm not sure if it's impacted by the foundation team owning Kubernetes next. So it seems like some of the issues are already like somehow dissolving on their own somehow. I'm not sure. So it's just like seems the new foundation team gonna take a big bunch of our cake, which is totally fine. It's totally okay, but it seems like some issues are getting taken care of automatically somehow.
Perfect. Thank you. I will try to speak with I spoke with Alan today about also the foundations team, and I'm gonna have next week when I come back, since I'm Asia Pacific friendly right now as time zone, with Pierre and Felipe, also to understand where they stand with that, and with Annalisa, that is their manager. I know that there will be, a bit of reshuffle in reliability in general, like people moving around, and maybe team gets bigger, other teams getting smaller, and so on. So I'm not sure where is actually right now the remit of all the squads and everything. Definitely there is some overlapping with foundations team, but it's not yet clear to me which is the overlap. I think that probably will be a bit clearer in Q1. So I'm more than welcome if we have solutions already in place for some of the problems we need to tackle, but I think we shouldn't stop here with what we are trying to achieve, right? So let's discuss in point C a bit better, so we can also align with it and also respect. But I'm more keen to keep it and just progress on that than dropping it.
Sure.
Anything extra to add, Ahmad?
One thing is the cluster rebuild is Sunish and Jenny are going to be the release managers, so I'm not sure. As I said, like who's going to take care of this part? We can do it this week, but I'm not sure if we can shrink it this week, taking in consideration Friday is Friends and Family Day, or Family and Friends Day. So I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm just
What
like,
if we? So one
Yeah,
of
go ahead.
our goals after we created the runbook was to go through that runbook and determine all the determine all the points of contention. And I think this revolves around, creating another cluster rebuild and just verifying that our runbook works as desired, but also identifying and creating issues for all the stuff that we simply don't like in the procedure. Like I don't like the fact that we need to do some manual work inside of Terraform, for example. So maybe maybe create an issue to identify what we could improve in that area. I think we kind of have that outline. We just don't have that kind of prioritized in this epic. And I think that would be my opinion at the moment.
To be more explicit in what we want to prioritize as the next step, right, John?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I say this thinking that being able to rebuild a cluster should be, just one day's worth of work. So really there shouldn't be a lot of impact. And that's something I could probably tackle now that we've got some release manager swaps happening. And then after we've identified all the issues that we want to work on, we could prioritize it. And then hypothetically, it'll be a small enough chunk.
Am I the only one losing Scarbeck?
No.
No, he's
He's
stopped here.
Okay.
He's back.
We are losing you.
Sorry, my connection is unstable.
So I guess we lost the land. Your okay.
Sorry, Michele, you cut out for me. I don't know if you cut out for others as well.
Being very spotty right now for everyone, I believe.
Everyone
at
is very
least.
spotty for everybody, or is only me?
You're fine now again.
Everyone is smiling. I guess everyone is froze.
For me,
Oh, no.
Skarbek and Michele were sort of cutting out in between.
Yeah.
Is it better? Am I back? Okay, perfect. I guess we still need to go back to the last point that you made, John. I totally missed that part. No?
I think he's gone again.
Me or John?
John.
Oh no.
There he's back.
Mm,
Okay. Let's see. He's coming back. The good part that we are live streaming this. So
I'll disable my video to see if that maybe saves some bandwidth. I don't know.
okay. I was saying that we lost your last point that you were making, so I'm not sure if we can go back to that.
I vaguely recall I was saying, I'm thinking with the flip of release managers, I could tackle the work of like maybe doing a rebuild cluster testing session And then I could write down all the stuff that, I think is painful. I think it would be wise if more than one of us was able to be a part of that process, just to, 2 people going through it. Those 2 people provide input as to the pain points that we identify and stuff that we think are valuable to fix. We could go through as a team to prioritize said issues. And then it doesn't matter who's release manager. Hopefully we've got the bits of work slimmed down enough where it doesn't matter if you're release manager. Hopefully time can be spent. That way you're not suffering as release manager, but still contributing to our OKRs as well.
Okay, sounds good. Who wants to take the action of clarifying a bit more, be more explicit about the work we want to do next, what you were mentioning before, John?
I would like to nominate Ahmad to tackle that clarification just because he's been closer to that work at the moment, and he could kind of provide guidance as to what clearly should the next steps be. And then, one of us could pull that work in the coming weeks, I guess.
Ahmad, I'm gonna put you up for that.
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. Shall we move to point B? John, it's still yours.
So I guess after learning that the reliability team is creating a team called Foundations, I feel like we need to better understand what their ultimate goals are. Because if they're going to be the team that wants to own the Kubernetes infrastructure, I think this is fine. It just kind of shifts the style of work that we end up working on. Our effort has been from point 0 to point X as far as building a cluster, getting everything deployed to it, and getting traffic into that cluster. If Team Foundations wants to own the building and management of the cluster, then I think we need to shift our focus elsewhere, specifically towards whatever tooling that we choose to leverage in order to appropriately deploy our workloads. And I think we need to figure out where that boundary is such that we're not stepping on any toes and that we're not repeating each other's work, etc. And I think it'd be wise to try to figure out where that might be sooner rather than later, because right now our OKR is still kind of geared towards us performing the work from step 0, starting the cluster. There is a not necessarily contention, but there are some conflicting objectives with how that team may want to manage clusters with the way that we're currently testing our capabilities. And if those opinions are going to remain strong enough where it's impeding work, then we really want to figure this out, soon. Whereas if it's more like a situation where we could keep chugging on with the work that we are working on, and then we could maybe toss off this responsibility later, that's probably okay as well. I guess I'm just looking to you, Michele, for guidance as to where we should be thinking about the future work in terms of what us as SREs are going to be end up doing with our stuff. Because I don't know where this boundary fits at the moment.
So
it's getting kind of hard to think about the future.
I understand. You're right. Is what I'm trying also to figure it out with today when I was speaking with Alan, and I guess I will try to figure it out a bit more also while speaking with Annalisa as well. Alan right now doesn't seem that he doesn't want to say, okay, who's owning like Kubernetes or is not owning Kubernetes. If we need to step some boundaries, I think probably core infrastructure maybe should own everything that is like, GCP cluster itself until the APIs, and from the APIs on, it should be something that where we plug ourselves in. This is not yet clear. It's not clear at least where how this is going to be structured. They are working on that. And when I ask for timelines, definitely this is not something that's going to come in Q4. This is something that we can probably hope to have a bit more clarity in Q1. Said that, I will also try to understand where Annalisa, Felipe, and Pierre and everybody is on this, and if there's something in mind that we want to work on, especially in the next quarter. But from what I found in Ally for their OKRs for Q4 are the one that I listed here, is mainly around completing the work around console upgrade, completing the migration of all the secrets to Vault, and also doing some evaluation of alternatives for our network CDN provider. So I don't see anything that is going the direction of what we want to achieve. On the other end, I can totally see that maybe later on the work we are doing now will probably be kind of say change ownership and go a bit more on their side, right? The part that I'm trying to not so I don't like two things. Right now, there is not, I want to understand what they want to do strategically. Where is their vision, at least in the next 2-3 quarters, where they want to go. When we know that, we can understand if we can align our roadmaps. Because if right now we are just like hoping for them to take this work and complete it in the way we want, I'm afraid that we are gonna like end up in a waiting loop, and we's gonna probably postpone the direction where we want to go with this, right? Because we are not simply building the capabilities of rebuilding clusters just for the sake of rebuilding them, but we are actually trying to build this functionality because we want to actually to go somewhere else next, right? We want to build on top of these functionalities that will like maybe enable us to do routine deployment, enable us to have the capability to deploy risky changes and so on. So this is also going to point C a bit. For this quarter, I would say that we should still like keep iterating on what we built. Maybe since we are pretty busy with the scope of release management as well, because we have next rotation as well, where Jen and Ahmad are in full rotation. Ahmad is also having the rotation after that. Plus we have Vladimir joining us in 13 days from now, where he will have to ramp up, and we'll also have to support him in his onboarding. So there will be definitely less firepower to tackle our OKRs. So maybe is the reason why I also had the point C to understand what we want to do with that. But going back to your point, Skarbek, of is Reliability going to do that? I'm not sure this is in their roadmap, or at least not in the shape and the form we want it for the next couple of quarters. Did I answer your question?
I think that's fine. I guess the thing that I want to point out is that, I'm not trying to push this work on other people. Yeah, if we want to maintain this, I think that's fine. It's probably it's just not in alignment with the delivery team goals. Our primary goal is MTTP and making sure we deploy wherever as quickly as possible. And cluster ownership kind of takes us away from being able to achieve that goal to some extent. We certainly want to be involved, and we certainly want to be part of driving, what we want to see and be able to integrate our tooling with it. But if that team has a desire to take over cluster usage, we could focus our efforts, like you mentioned, on stuff like blue-green deployments and other fun things that we've had ideas for in the past, which I think would be a good benefit to us. But with that in mind, maybe we should just keep going with our current OKR, which I think at that point we should discuss more of your point C, primarily because what I just proposed after the discussion for the first point, we're kind of contradicting each other in terms of what we want to accomplish in the next few weeks.
Yeah. So I told you I'm going to keep investigating on that, and whatever we are doing now is not going to be wasted. We're still like contributing anyway to infrastructure goals and everything. I will try to build some extra clarity around that part and so on, just to be sure. For the time being, maybe let's discuss point C, as you said, and trying to understand, okay, with the current like team capacity, let's review our key results that we set for ourselves for the cluster rebuild OKR and understand how we can maybe reduce the scope slightly to still keep it like achievable, but also aspirational and challenging at the same time.
That sounds good to me.
So currently, our OKRs, OKR was like increasing the the reliability of and repeatability of cluster rebuilds. The first key result that we added there is to have a foolproof runbook that can be like executed with not so much like step by step, not so much brain power, just like something that is really foolproof and we can repeat continuously. The other key result we added was to rebuild an additional rebuild a staging cluster. So said that we are one step closer to the first key result, because I mean just today we merged the runbook and we know that we have some parts that we need to optimize, right? To execute that as a single merge request, and a lot of parts that we want to surface, identify the gaps, and trying to improve the experience around the execution of that runbook. What about, do you think that only keeping these key result will be something feasible to achieve in Q4, seeing the current team capacity for the next 3 months?
I'm going to say yes, because the first one, rebuilding a cluster entirely, we know we could do. Ahmad's done it. He's proven it's possible. But now we have a runbook that we could tease out and validate that it works properly. And that cluster rebuild should take less than a day. It took Ahmad like his entire day, but like it should take less than a day. From the result of that work, we should have a bunch of issues that contribute to the second AKR, which is trying to figure out how to make it a more friendly operation. And then maybe we could figure out how to prioritize those issues that could get us to a certain competence level that we could test in a better fashion, maybe. Not entirely sure about that last one, but
so I would say that at this point, let's keep the first key result only. That is like his work to do. We have limited capacity. It's still going to bring some value. If for whatever reason we are able to do all the work done, no one is preventing us to continue and do the rebuild of the staging cluster. The epic that we put in place is already clear enough also to establish like the next milestone, or the one of rebuilding the staging cluster. So I would say let's put ourselves in a situation of having the first key result as achievable, and then anything else that come on top of that is added value. Again, the value we are building up here maybe is not going to stay in the remit of our team, but it's still gonna something that we're gonna benefit from for where we want to go. So let's try to also see that, because I mean, it doesn't mean that a lot of things that we're building right now as well, if we are looking at the pipeline foundation stuff and so on, we're also Ruben is the DRI. I'm quite sure that some of this part sooner or later will end up on observability group capabilities, right? Because they will also have to probably monitor pipelines, and is what we are trying to do right now is actually building this functionality that probably sooner or later, I'm quite sure will end up in the product. Do you think that only the first key result is, allow me the word, too easy to achieve, or is still like challenging enough for us for in Q4?
I think, yes, it's too easy, but it's also validation. And I think that drives a larger role in that key result than how easy something is to achieve. We know it's going to be challenging because it requires a massive CR that takes a lot of time and effort. But at least we know it can be accomplished.
Okay.
Without error is the challenging piece.
Okay, sounds good. Then let's keep it this way. Let's keep the epic in the current form where we also have the next milestone, and then let's see where we get to that, right? I will try to be clear in a so in LI actually did the extra step of adding the key infrastructure doing that. So I actually, we add the objective and then the key result are actually part that you see, you link in the epic, but they're not really added there. I will try to be a bit more clear on the objective we have in LI, trying to say where we want to go and everything, and everything that it comes on top of that is going to be extra value that we add to this. Okay. Anything else to add to this discussion for today?
I just want to point out that I'm in agreement with what we settled on. I'm just kind of curious if anyone else has any competing thoughts.
Competing thoughts about what?
Alternative thoughts or opinions as to this route.
No, it sounds good to me.
Okay. Ruben, since we are speaking about OKRs, do you foresee any big problems in the one for cluster as pipeline foundations observability?
No, I don't think so. We can start, I'll be able to start working on it once ops is upgraded to 15.6. So
Yeah.
hopefully we have almost 2.5 months
Okay.
to do it. So should be okay, I think.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Anything else someone wants to bring up in the live stream?